Hi, welcome to the Wirral Way. My name is Jill Torres, and I am the founder of this magazine and network that connects, supports, and celebrates the communities of West Kirby, Hoylake, Heswall, and the surrounding areas in West Wirral. In these interviews, I will introduce you to members of my network. These are people in our local community that are running businesses, running charities, hosting events, and doing some other wonderful stuff so that you can meet them, get to know them, and find out how you can get involved in some of the great things that are happening in West Wirral at the moment. Hi, I am here today with Angie Erving from Wirral Therapy Services. Welcome, Angie.
Hi Jill, it's lovely to be here.
Oh, yeah, thanks for making the time for it. So today we're going to be talking all things holistic therapies and what it even means. You know, that's a word that we hear a lot these days. Holistic approach, holistic therapies, these kinds of things. I know that a lot of people go and see Angie for things like a reflexology treatment, a massage. Those kinds of things are like often the way in, I think, to your services, aren't they? But holistic means that there's a lot more that's there to be accessed if you go and work with Angie. So I reckon, first of all, Angie, do you want to give us how would you describe the word holistic and what that means for people?
Okay, sure. So yeah, I'm a holistic naturopathic wellbeing specialist, and holistic really means, well, two key things. It's the approach that I take with the client. I like to find out all about them, their whole lifestyle, their any medical conditions, and their history and their view and perception on life, and take a well-rounded picture of them. And that then guides me in devising a bespoke treatment plan for them, which will use a range of diverse therapy modalities and different tools and techniques and remedies that I might bring into their sessions.
Okay, fantastic. So I suppose that that's there's so many different pieces to that, isn't there? And I'm right in thinking like the word holistic, it means like the whole, doesn't it? Like body, mind, spirit, looking not just at like, you mentioned before we started recording, like someone comes to you with tight shoulders, then you can massage their shoulders. But what if it comes back next week and the week after and things like that? So then that holistic approach is looking at why your shoulders tight in the first place and that kind
That's
of
it.
thing, isn't it? So can you tell us a bit about how that might work? Say someone found you online and they went, okay, that person does massage. I'm going to go to Angie for a massage. How do you then start speaking to them about that? Why did your shoulders get tight? How does an appointment go?
That's right. Okay, so some people may well just book in for a massage session for tight hamstrings, tightness in the shoulders, etc. And it's really during our very personalized consultation process where we have a really good, relaxed chat over a nice cuppa, and I find out more in that process about what's going on with them and what is at the root of the issues that they suffer with. And I do find that people come here. One of the first things that I will tell them when they arrive is see this as your safe haven. This is where you can be truly authentic and bring anything into the room with you that you want to share. And that is usually the way in that I find out what's going on with them. And we take it from there to create that treatment planning that just hits the spot, that really helps to work through their issues, not just give them the treatment that they then just kind of leave, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, and you do some like you combine it with like some talking therapy, don't you, and nutrition and different things. Do you want to tell me a bit about the other strings to your bow and the other like things that you're interested in and working with?
Yeah, okay. So when clients arrive and they have got that physical ailment, and we'll talk through that. But I often find that then they will start to share with me some other issues that's going on in their life, which usually The main problems people have is a lot of distress, um, stressful life events going on for them that might be the cause of their back pain, for example. So as we're talking, we'll identify those issues that are coming up for them, particularly with stress conditions, anxiety. A lot of people suffer with panic attacks these days. I find that is something that people do come to me, manifesting. And so when we're talking about those issues, I might talk about reperceiving their perception of the self and their beliefs. And we talk about trying to change how they're viewing their life. And then I
Wow.
might
Can we ask it? Can I drill into that for a sec? Because that sounds
yeah,
like a big
sure.
thing. And so reperceiving their beliefs. That, I mean, we've talked a bit about this. That's something that, I've got some experience of, but that's as a phrase, not something that people will necessarily be familiar with. So it sounds good, doesn't it? To me, that says like, okay, well, I'm believing this, and actually it's not really serving me. So you're going to help them to look at a situation slightly differently, or how does that work?
Situations and importantly, words. I really find that we talked earlier about sound, energy, sound, healing and things. And I take that right the way through, not just maybe pleasant ambient music in the background, but I'm also listening to the words that clients use to describe what's going on in their life for them. So I might ask them to just look back at what we've talked about and draw to their attention how they're talking, and we look at changing that up into a more positive framework of how they're looking at themselves and at their life, and also how they can use the challenges that they might be going through in life for a positive, to take them into a more positive direction, to actually change things up to becoming the way that they prefer to be living their lives, full of well-being, full of vibrancy. And it's swapping in those words, really. I mean, just give you a quick example. My mum fell over yesterday, and I don't know what it is. You've probably heard of this phenomenon, I would call it, where up to a certain age, when you fall over, you fell over. At some point, and I don't know where exactly it happens, suddenly you had a fall. It's become a bigger event in your mind and in the way that you talk about it and in the way that you experience it. So yeah, mum fell yesterday and she was talking about this fall, and I said, let's just use some different words there, mum, because my daughter also fell over yesterday. She's 18, by the way. She's not a little a little girl. She fell over and she's like, oh, yeah, I fell over at school, and moves on. Whereas my mum had got herself really upset, really shaky. She'd taken it on board, this event that happened to her. She perceived it in a much more dramatic way that was distressing her. She was distressing herself. The fall happened there, and then she carried it on so that it became everything about her day. So that's just one example of how I might talk clients through things and get them to see it a little bit differently, but also offering them maybe some tools or techniques that they can take away and use at home that can help them when certain challenges arise for them.
That's amazing. I mean, it's wonderful that like to think that someone might just find you and go, oh yeah, I fancy a back massage, or I fancy a reflexology treatment or something, and then they're kind of unlocking this wealth of of information and of kind of practices and different things, because I know you've got like interest in loads of different things, haven't you? And I suppose picking up on something that you said there, that like you support people to use their challenges to inform their journey, essentially. I think I'm paraphrasing there. But then that makes me wonder what's your journey with all of this? So what has happened in your life that made you add all these different things on and got you interested in everything?
Well, my journey began straight from school, going to university, and I did a health degree, which was very multidisciplinary. It looked at sociology, it looked at public health, and a whole variety of different modules. And then I went on and did beauty therapy training after that. And it was whilst I was there, I'd had mild acne and had always had an interest in going to be a beauty therapist for that reason, really to, help myself. And whilst there, that was when I realised through what I was learning that beauty, really isn't skin deep, and that the majority of products that you use on the surface of your skin, they don't even penetrate, let alone actually then have a deep and meaningful benefit for you. And if you stop using them, say if somebody's got dry skin, they stop using the dry skin cream, then often the skin will just go back immediately to being dry because you haven't got to the root of the imbalance, which may well be hormonal, the endocrine system. And so whilst I was there, I had the opportunity to do clinical aromatherapy. And essential oils, these are tiny volatile aromatic substances with a really tiny molecular structure, and they are able to penetrate across the skin's barrier and get into the bloodstream. And so you get a much deeper effect when using essential oils, say in skincare. Obviously, there's a whole range of many benefits to essential oils. And really from there, I joined a wellbeing clinic actually in Chester. That was sort of one of my first jobs in that industry as a beauty therapist, but they also did more holistic practices there as well. So from there, it developed because I learned more about what holistic meant and went on to do reflexology, which treats the whole body systematically through working on your feet. So that link between areas of the body, I started to develop an understanding of that. And then that progressed to linking the body to the mind, and the mind to the soul, and the soul to the spirit level of oneness that we're all a part of.
Wow, amazing. So, what about your own practices? So, day to day, what are the things that you absolutely swear by and never miss?
Oh, okay. So I wouldn't say that I might never miss these, but
Hmm.
I start my morning when I wake up. If I need to get up and go to the loo, then I do, but I get straight back in bed. Your mind is still in the deeper states of awareness when you first wake up, and you are more open to take on board positivity, essentially. And so I'll lie in bed and I'll put a little, not really a meditation, it's more of a wake you up in the right frame of mind audio on. What I've actually done is recorded myself. So I've taken, don't know if you know of Louise Hay,
Mhm.
um, but I've taken some of her best morning audios and from other places as well, and created my own. So it's my own voice that I'm hearing. So I'll listen to that for maybe 20 minutes and then I get up and I'll flush. You mentioned nutritional therapy earlier. I'll flush through with some warm lemon water, just to wake up the digestive system, just to help cleanse it of anything that's sitting in there from the day before. And then I will go into a Kundalini Kriya practice, which is about half an hour long. I can change it, add things in, take things out, but I basically do a sequence that is for spinal rebalancing and flexibility and the flow of cerebral spinal fluid around your spine and brain, and for chakra rebalancing. So that's how I start pretty much every morning off.
And you said that you offer these things to clients as well, don't you? You teach them how to do these kind of rituals for themselves to support themselves outside of sessions with you.
Yes, I mean, over the years, I've devised what I call the talk, train, touch protocol, which is just that over the years, I found that yes, some people do come in and they just literally want to fling themselves up on the couch, have a massage, and then leave. And that's absolutely fine. But over the years, I found most people have got things that they need to share that they benefit from sharing and working through, and that's the talk and train element. And the train element might involve that reperceiving of beliefs, but also I might share and guide them and educate them in other empowering techniques like the Kundalini Kriya, like some breath work, like some simple healthy habits for them to have at home, like with new simple nutritional changes that they can then take, and they've got it in their own toolbox that they can access then anytime they need it, and ideally add into a daily practice, because then you've got this daily practice for your well-being. When things are going right, it's easy to pluck them when you need them, when things appear perhaps not to be going the way that you'd like them to be going.
And what I wonder if there are, say, things that you end up recommending to loads of people. So whether it's nutritional, whether it's breath work, meditation, yoga, whatever, are there, say, three top tips that you could give us?
I think definitely starting your morning off really well by listening or reading something very positive that gets you in the right frame of mind to start your day really well. Definitely that flush through with some lemon water. And I really nowadays I do show as many people as I can the Kundalini Kriya practice that I do, because it has helped me so much. I think we said off the call earlier that I've possibly gone through what I have perceived as the most stressful time in my life, of different life events going on for me recently over the last 4 years and the last 2 years particularly. And yet through these practices that I almost religiously do, I have managed those situations with a sense of peacefulness within most of the time. I get triggered, and but most of the time I'm not moved by what is going on in my external world. And if I am, I'm able to very quickly recenter myself. And I think that's so important, because it's what you're feeling in here that is how you are experiencing life, no matter what's going on out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are great tips. And yeah, I relate to that because I think that like I've taken, for the last 15 years or something, I've been learning a lot of these kinds of holistic practices myself. But sometimes it's hard when you're not doing it in a routine way. You can decenter, get thrown off center, can't you? And I think what you're describing sounds to me like nervous system balancing things. So it's like when life is hectic or difficult or challenging in different ways, I know that even if I've gone off track and I've not been doing my practices on the regular, go, no, do you know what? Now, in order to balance and bring myself back to center, I'm going to make sure I do that meditation every morning. I'm going to make sure that I, you know, eat in a way that's going to support me and not have blood sugar spikes all over the place and things like that. And is that that sort of nervous system balancing thing, is that what's in your mind when you're saying things like that? I don't want to put words into your mouth.
Yes, absolutely. And really, for me, you see, well-being is a lifestyle. So going for a massage once a month is a small part of an overall lifestyle. But when we build in these various practices into daily life, we're creating a lifestyle that is full of optimal well-being on, on so many different levels. And so that is where I really try to direct people to take their path, their journey, is to creating a lifestyle that's full of well-being. And when we work on the nervous system is communicating to the rest of the body how to function. You'll know yourself if you experience a stressful situation, your fight, flight, and freeze system, the parasympathetic nervous system, is switched on, and the sympathetic system is switched on, which is essentially what that means. It's sympathetic to the stressful situation that you are being faced with. So it switches on everything that you need to either escape what you are perceiving as a fear situation. And it always, all negative emotions really have fear at their base as a foundation. If you think of anger, there's a level of fear going on there. All of grief, there's fear, because you fear that you've lost somebody or something. So when those sympathetic systems are switched on, it turns off anything that you don't need there and then. The digestive system goes awry. People either need to go to the loo because the body wants to get rid of anything that it doesn't need to be carrying, so that it's lighter, essentially, so that you can run away more quickly, and so you're light-footed on your feet if you want to smack somebody. Not very appropriate these days, but our physical bodies haven't really caught up to the way we live life these days. We're still back in cavemen era.
Yeah, tapping into those survival emotions, aren't we?
Survival mode.
All of those things that need to switch on in order to run away from the tiger or something. These days switch on when someone cuts you up in traffic or something like that.
Exactly. And all the brain knows. The brain is we think the brain controls us, and it does if we allow it to, but it's actually only following orders. So the brain is translating what you are telling it is going on by a situation that you are faced with through the five senses. So what you see, what you hear, you are then sending a message, a signal to the brain as to how it ought to respond to that sensory experience. And so we need to send more positive messages up to the brain so that it knows this is not a fear-based scenario, and it does not need to switch on all of those sympathetic responses in the body. I mean, I spoke to you earlier about not being very comfortable with being on social media and all those sorts of things. So, my own sympathetic systems have been switched on. I was feeling a little bit damp under the armpits, bit of a dry mouth, etc., because it's something that I'm not very comfortable with. And that discomfort is there's only one translation to the brain: fear. So let's switch on what we need to do with that fear situation. So if we can harness techniques, tools, remedies as well. Obviously, I'm a clinical aromatherapist, so I prepare my own blends for people. We can use chamomile, common ones that you'll know, lavender. Frankincense is a very good one for taking the nervous system down.
I love frankincense oil. It's so good for it's quite a spiritual one as well, isn't it?
It is. And when we open ourselves up to those spiritual realms, that's where we can really realize that there is absolutely nothing that we need to fear in any circumstance, because all of this is a little bit like a soap opera. This isn't the beginning and the end. So when we develop that spiritual understanding, using things like frankincense, using Kundalini Kriya, which can open us up to those higher realms, then we can let go of fear. And, that's how I try to help people.
Wow. So the work that you do is really, it's really holistic in the true sense of the term, isn't it? That you're looking at like body, mind, soul, spirit, and everything. And we've heard there a taste of kind of how far you take that, where that goes to, for you. And so if somebody comes and works with you, they can learn up to and including all of that spiritual stuff, can't they? Or like you say, they can just
If
come
they
in,
want to, yeah.
put themselves on on the bed and have a massage and things. Um, I suppose a question that comes to my mind is what are the main ways in for people? So I guess that it's true that someone can say, I don't really know what I want, but I like the look of Angie and I want to know what she thinks I need. So can people just book a session with you and come with, oh, this is what's going on for me at the moment, and you'll recommend something?
Yes, absolutely. And some people do that, and ring up and say, I found you wherever they found me, Facebook, website. And exactly as you say, I am not feeling good. I'm not feeling myself. I'm not living my best life. I've seen that, you specialize in helping people optimize well-being. Help me out here, and we'll take it from there. Some people will book in for a massage, a reflexology treatment, maybe a nutritional session, and so that approach, that way in is slightly different. And generally through that consultation process, that is where we identify somebody might be well on their way with natural, holistic, well-being ways of enhancing their own life. And so the massage is a part of that. And so they don't need to delve deeper because they might have their own practices already, and they're just slotting in the treatment as part of it, and that's absolutely fine. Other people, like you say, they're not quite sure what they need, and so I will help them and we'll devise their treatment plan or program together, and we can change it as we're going along as well. It's not set in stone.
Yeah, one thing that I will say, I mentioned this to you before when we were chatting before we started recording. It's like quite often, people who know me will ask me about all these different bits and bobs, and I'm not offering that, But I kind of observed in chatting to you that coming for sessions with you is like sidestepping all of that. So all of the exploration and things that I might have done for 15, 20 years to pick up bits and bobs here and there. If someone's starting from zero and like the kind of people that come and ask me, well, how do you do yoga? And what do you do with this? And what meditations do you do? They can come to you for a session and you'll give them exactly that, but like tailored to what they actually need, won't you? And that's the
Right,
absolutely right
because
way of thinking of it.
yeah, because I've gone through it myself. So I've come to all of these modalities through trying to improve my own well-being. And it is a lifestyle for me and my family. These ways are how we live. And it doesn't end there. I love learning. So the nutritional therapy that I do, I did an exercise and nutrition science masters over the COVID period when I couldn't work on hands-on with people a lot of the time. So my journey is continuing. So as I expand my own concept of what holistic lifestyles as well as holistic therapies means, and I develop the tools, the techniques, the remedies that I use in my own life, and constantly crafting my own lifestyle to be better and better and better and more full of vitality and vigor and vavavoom. What do we want to live here for? Just to live a mediocre life? Well, I want a lifestyle that's, fantastic and joyous and happy and healthy. So the more
Amazing.
I build it, the more I can help other people to build that for themselves.
Yeah, I kind of want to applaud that. That's wonderful. Is there anything that we haven't covered? I'm thinking one thing that comes to mind actually is you work, haven't you got some specific services for older people? Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Well, yeah, I do. So I mentioned kind of the last 4 years and obviously we had the whole COVID thing going on and I had just left a part-time teaching job and then I did this on a very part-time basis and I'd left the teaching job to build my own practice more. And we went immediately into the lockdown and I wasn't able to work hands-on with people at first. So kind of everything fell away all at once. But eventually I got funding from the government to be able to support people with their well-being, even face-to-face and hands-on during that time where the need was seen to be greater than the apparent risk. And what I identified at that time was that some of the people who really needed well-being support at that time were the people who were least likely to know anything about those kinds of therapies or to think it was for them. Particularly elderly people are often of an era where, you get on with life and they're not maybe as used to receiving touch therapies, but they were also the most vulnerable, the most isolated at that time. And not only at that time, but generally, again, you seem to get to a point in life where touch is something that the elderly people don't experience a lot of. Even being in contact with people, they can be very lonely. And they're the forgotten group of people, I feel. And my very first job was as a care assistant in nursing homes locally here on the Wirral. And I loved it. I loved working with older people. They are very vulnerable, and I think that's my thing is working with vulnerable people really, as well as vulnerable animals. I like to look after the underdog literally, and so the older people are vulnerable and they need our support. And so I do offer home visits for people that can't get here. That's not only elderly people, but maybe sometimes I've had clients who've broken their leg or something. So I'll say, well, it's okay, I'll come to you. And so I've supported people in the home with therapies, so particularly pedicures for elderly people and massage of the hands and arms and of the feet and legs, but also helping them with domestic needs and personal care because really I've done a lot of it over the years. So from looking after people in care homes, I've also looked after 3 of my grandparents, 2 of my great aunt and uncle. My aunt was 100, and so I would look after them. So I'm very familiar with working with the elderly, both for domestic needs, personal care, and therapies. And I have quite a number of older people.
Okay, fantastic. So we've covered quite a lot of ground there, really. I suppose the one important thing to say is that you've got an ad in the second edition of the Wirral Way magazine, which is out now, and there's an offer in there. The offer that's in the magazine is 20% off when you book a service with Angie. But of course, depending on when you're watching that video, that might have changed. But you have regular offers and different things on, don't you? That we'll include the website link below that people can find you there and things. Is there anything that you want to say in closing that we haven't covered?
I think we've covered most things for sure. I think in terms of offers, we've got the offer in the magazine at the moment, but Wirral Therapy Services has been run from here, Priory Cottage I'm in Upton Village, for 10 years now, albeit I've only been building it more full time recently. And so I have brought out a few different offers as well for this year specifically, including some packages and programs for people. So when we talked before about people who maybe don't really know quite what they need, but they feel that they want to have some zhuzh things up in their life, then the programs and packages might be for them. Because
Okay,
it gives
great.
them a little taster of a few things, and we can craft their new lifestyle together over the next 12 months.
Right, fantastic. So that is so packages for 2025, 10 years. What an achievement. That's amazing. So people can get in touch with you and you'll tell them about that and kind of craft something bespoke for them to
Yeah.
help them, yeah, increase their well-being in 2025. Perfect time of year for it as well.
Oh, it is,
Um,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, there are a couple of questions that I always ask people at the end, just tag on to the end of interviews. Um, and the first one is, where do you enjoy spending time on the Wirral? So if someone was coming to visit this area and you were going to say, oh, go and do that, what would you be recommending?
Well, I used to do quite a lot of running. Haven't done it any for a couple of years now because I lost my running partner. She went down to live away. And we used to do a 10K route from my mum's house, who I mentioned earlier. Hello, mum. From do you know Grammar School Lane by Caldy Grammar Boys School?
Yeah, in West Kirby,
If
that is, I'll
if
say.
in West Kirby, yeah. So sorry, if you get up onto the hill from there to the column,
Hmm.
is the big brown one, the big brown sandstone, and a lovely 10K walk route is to go along the ridge there. You've got the beautiful view across to Wales, and you've got the marine lake with the sailing boats and Hilbury Island and Middle and Little Eye. You've got that great view. And then you drop down into Caldy. And I'm taking you on a whole tour here, down into Caldy, across to the horse fields, and across the road, across Thurston Road, onto the rugby pitches over there, and up to the top of Thurston. A nice little stop off at one of the cafes. Either Flissy's down on the front. I'm good at advertising other people. See how this comes so naturally to me. Or there's Benty Farm Cafe there, and then down into Roydon Park, and then loop back round to sort of Frankby Cemetery area, and a nice stop off there at the Farmer's Arms. So that is a great walk that I like to do on a Sunday with the dog, and a few nice stop offs for coffee on the way.
Oh, that's fab. A lot of that is my regular route with, let me see if I can, this little fluffy. But
Yeah.
I've never done that as a big loop. I mean, she these days she wouldn't walk that far. I don't know, maybe she would. But yeah, I'll do that. That's wonderful. And then the last one, which is you said you find it easy to advertise with other people, is what about any other businesses and things that you use, whether it's a restaurant that you love, you mentioned a couple there, or other services that you use, anything you want to name drop and give a little shout out to?
Well, I did mention a couple of cafes there, and I have become more of a cafe culture girl, to be honest, than going for, like evening meals. So there's another cafe that I would name drop, which is Map in Hoylake, run by Jamie and Bronwyn. It's right by the train station in Hoylake on the quadrant. And they are so friendly in there, and all of their staff are lovely and friendly. We are vegan, so they do a great vegan breakfast, but I believe their other breakfasts are also just as nice. They also do something a little bit unique. They offer about 5 organic hot drinks that are a little bit unusual, like the green matcha and the blue matcha, and a purple beetroot one, and a sweet potato hot drink. And they sprinkle lovely little organic dried flowers on there, and they are just so delicious because I love all the lattes, and yeah, and that's my guilty pleasure is a naughty latte with syrup. So I don't eat healthily all of the time, but these ones are organic. They have organic maple syrup. The matchas are organic, so I really highly recommend those. They're delicious.
Oh, that's a great recommendation for me personally, actually. Thank you. I'm always on the lookout for anywhere that will serve anything organic. It's not a thing that it's not as prevalent as you
No,
like.
it isn't. Like I say about we've got loads of cafes on the Wirral. It is a real cultural thing here on the Wirral for sure. Um, but and plenty of vegan options, but not much that's organic, no.
No. So yeah, that's a great recommendation. And yeah, with the vegan options as well, that's fab. So thank you very much. Thanks for your time today. I will, like I say, drop your bit of information about your business and your website link in the caption on YouTube. And yeah, people can find you that way, or they can find you in the magazine at thewirralway.co.uk. But thanks very much, Angie, and bye now.
Pleasure, thank you. And I would just say there, the best way to get in touch with me is to leave a text or a voicemail, because when I am with clients, there is only me, so I often can't get to the phone.
Sure, yeah, and the phone number and is in the magazine and on the website, isn't it? So they can get it that way.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on today, Jill. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
Oh yeah, thank you. Bye now.
Bye for now.